What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel for another video. So today we are going to be rebuilding the Overdrive unit in the 47RE that came out of the 12 valve Cummins. So if you'd like to see what all this takes in the entire process, then keep on watching. Also, we did already start soaking the clutches in the fluid. We won't be using those till last as far as I know. So those are just going to be sitting here soaking through the remainder of this video, and we'll end up getting back to those later.
And I do have to put this all back together at work in the press, so I can assemble it now, but it won't actually get fully done until Monday. Today is Saturday for us, but when I get access to the press, that's when it should be all ready to go, and more than likely in the next video, we'll have it completed. We'll throw the rest of the clutches in the housing and be done.
Yep, and then also, if you remember from last video, if you went and watched that, if you didn't, go check it out. Here's the intermediate shaft. Kyler has to cut this so that he can use it as an alignment tool. So he hasn't done that yet, but that will be what he'll be doing after we rebuild all of this, before he uses the press.
So I disassembled the internals of the Overdrive unit pretty much, as you guys can see on the table.
Yep, can't see it all, but it's all lined up pretty much in the order that it's going to be going in as.
Got the output shaft, pretty much everything bare. There is 2 bushings in it that are not going to get replaced here, so...
Yeah, they were not a part of the kit, and I assume it's probably just for some reason that they'll probably don't need to be replaced, I guess.
They don't seem to be true wear items as much as the other bushings that were included. I checked the tolerances, everything seems pretty good in them. So we'll start with just grabbing this. Next, we're going to need the roller bearing. I got that in the fluid as well. Just figured might as well get it lubricated while I can.
So we're going to start by getting that roller bearing installed.
Very simple. Just got to put it right down in there. Next, take the old one, trash it. Got to take the one-way clutch cam, put it back down in there. Nice and smooth.
And then, so this is the old one, so here's the new one. So now we're going to take the one-way clutch, and we're going to get this a little bit lubed up, and then we're going to go ahead and install that.
It really doesn't need to be lubed up, but I would much rather just throw a little bit of fluid on it, just to be safe here. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and slip this right in.
And the springs need to be facing down.
As if you were assembling it like this. Sideways, according to the exploded view. You gotta be really careful to where it doesn't pop any of the springs and rollers out, so I'm just trying to be gentle at first here.
Yeah, I learned that with the old one. They come out very easy. All I did was touch it with my finger and a whole bunch fell out.
I'm just gonna go ahead and remove the cam. Make it a little bit easier on myself. Install it on the cam first. Let's go like this. So it did have a little lip on the bottom side. I just had to install it from the bottom of the cam. That's why I wasn't able just to put it right in there. This is a very delicate process, so I'm trying to be as gentle as I can. I'm going to try to use the intermediate shaft just to get everything straightened while I try to push it down. Alright, so that worked really, really good. Highly recommend. Just go ahead and put the intermediate shaft in the one-way clutch cam, and it should work pretty good for you guys. Pretty much went in immediately for me. So
work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Now that that is in,
old one, goodbye. And now we need the planetary.
There are 8 planets in the solar system.
So I'll go ahead and get that in now. Beautiful.
I'm gonna just because I had such issues with that one-way clutch, before I get that fully in there and good to go, I'm just going to make sure the one-way clutch rotates properly.
Yeah, don't want to damage anything. Alright, so it is the one-way clutch cam and the planetary splines that need to be aligned when you're putting it in. When you're using the alignment tool, just got to make sure that those are lined up good. Alright, so the next thing that we got to put in is the roller bearing.
Little thrust bearing.
Yeah, another one, but thrust this time, I guess.
Same thing.
Yep.
Just different location. According to my exploded view in my build manual, the lip that goes on the outside, not the lip on the inside, the outside lip has to be facing up.
So facing up this direction.
Just gonna give it a quick soak in a little bit of fluid, get some fresh fluid in it. And that's not really necessary, but I'd rather do it.
Yeah, might as well lubricate everything right off the bat.
I'm not using assembly lube, just the good old ATF.
Yep.
And this
We're
is,
using power-driven diesels transmission fluid.
they're fancy dancy good stuff.
Yep, that's rated up to 1,500 horsepower safely, I guess.
It's fancy fluid. That's all I know. Alright, now Miss Kimberly, I need you to hand me, yep.
Okay, so now we need to install the Overdrive sun gear. So the shorter side is what actually needs to go into the planetary, so make sure it is faced like this and not like this.
Otherwise it won't even go together.
Exactly, so.
Nice and smooth. Okay.
So now that's installed. Now we need to go ahead and add this giant spring that's like as big as my head.
This is why you have to use a press.
Yep, obviously, spring-loaded things
Alrighty.
can get pretty sketchy really quick. So now we're gonna go ahead and install the Overdrive clutch hub. So the open side, obviously, is gonna go down. The spring is gonna go inside it. So we're gonna go ahead and put that on. And I'll let you push that down, do whatever from here. I don't know, we don't have a press.
Now just imagine. The top of this has to go to just inside this.
Yep.
That's how much force that spring puts on these clutch packs and just every internal component in here.
Yep, and as you just saw, that spring is also huge. So that's gonna take a lot of force to press down, but that's when presses come in handy, right?
I love my work.
Yeah, it is definitely came so in handy, him working at Torque King sometimes. It's just a miracle. Because obviously we don't own a press.
Yeah,
I don't think you're going to be able to press like a spring that's like 850 whatever.
That's like 850 pounds of force or something, something like that.
Yeah, that's insane. All right, so we've got the build manual out now. So we can go ahead and see the exploded views of exactly what goes in where.
New steels.
Yep, so that's what we're moving on to now.
Now I'm just kind of checking real quick, make sure everything I'm doing is correct.
Yeah, want to make sure that we put the right ones in the right places and the right directions. So we're going to go ahead and install the very first steel that is very thick, and it's going to go down on the bottom. And the little recess in the teeth goes towards the output shaft. So we're just going to go ahead and push that right down over the Overdrive clutch hub, and we're going to move on to the next steel. All right, so we've reached the end of this stage. The next thing we're going to be putting in is going to be those the other clutches, but they haven't been soaking as long as we'd like, so we're just gonna wait on those a little bit, and we'll catch back up with you guys in like 1 second block time.
Right before I do that, I'm just gonna put the bearing right back on the back, if I can. Alright, so I slipped the bearing back onto the output shaft. Just gonna put the snap ring on it right now. New snap ring pliers, Craftsman, super happy about them. I've been needing these for quite a while, so makes me happy.
He has. If you watched our disassembly of the 47RE video, we had a hell of a time with one of those snap rings. Finally, teamwork, we got it.
Yeah, like a breeze.
Well, yeah, snap ring pliers are meant for snap rings.
Alrighty, so I think I'm gonna put this assembly in the overdrive housing just to where it stays upright. Any fluid can go down into the drum and not all over the table.
Yeah, but he kind of needs a way to keep it all together because he does have to take it to work to use the press. So this isn't how it's going to be in the transmission, just so you guys know. He will be doing stuff off camera that we have to do sometimes.
Ah!
Jeez.
It's heavy. Alrighty.
Now he's got to put the spring and the overdrive clutch hub back on since he just removed that.
Made it a little bit easier to put in there though.
Yeah.
Clutch. Steel. And obviously the steels are not getting aligned until it gets pressed, so just gotta get the clutches in there good. That's all that matters. And obviously you don't gotta soak the steels because they're not gonna absorb anything.
So we just got his bag of clutches and his pile of steels.
And these have been soaking for half hour, 45 minutes, something like that. So they should be soaked up pretty good. A little bit ago, it seemed like the clutches were still showing a couple dry spots in them, so I just kept letting them soak. Kind of is more of just a visual thing more than anything. Last steel. And last clutch. And then you get to put the overdrive direct clutch backing plate back on top, and that's ready for the press.
Yep.
Pretty simple. Put the fluid back in the box, and then over 4 layers of cardboard just in case. And then this can go over some cardboard just in case. One recommendation. So with having to use the press to disassemble it and reassemble it, you typically just go ahead and buy a tool made for it. And again, very expensive tool that I didn't want to get because I'm cheap. Yep, very cheap. But so what I used actually was a Dana 80 pinion yoke, and it worked beautifully. Absolutely perfect size for what I needed. If you guys got one lying around, would highly recommend just throwing that on there. You can still get the internal snap ring, the external. I mean, you can literally reach everything perfectly, and it'll save you a lot of money. You could probably use just a normal 1350 yoke, any 1410 yoke, but yeah. Try to use a pinion yoke because it worked really good. So I just threw the intermediate shaft in there, aligned the splines how it'll need to be done. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to really get in there with the press with this like that.
So that's why you're supposed to cut it off. I didn't explain that in the last video, but the reason you're supposed to cut that off is because of a press. It is too tall to be able to use the press with. So that is why you would just cut this instead of buying an alignment tool, which would actually be an intermediate shaft just like this, but cut in half.
So I'm just going to cut it right there.
Yep.
Hopefully that'll give me enough clearance. And the Dana 80 pinion yoke, if it's not able to give me enough clearance, that shaft should be able to go within the splines without hitting, because the Dana 80 pinions are so thick. Someday I'll get me one of those for my truck, but that day is not anytime soon.
All the old parts are goodbye. We don't have to deal with them anymore. There will be a couple snap rings that have to go on afterwards, but it's not too big of a deal for us at this moment because we have not pressed everything back in. That is the key. We have not pressed everything back in. So, but this is pretty much just an overview of what you would have to do if you were going to rebuild your Overdrive unit in a 47 RE, just like we did.
So it's ready to go for the press. This is going to get set aside. Today's Saturday, so I got tomorrow off too. We're probably going to tear into the actual main case of the 47 and hopefully make a really good indent on it. I'd love to get it done this weekend, but honestly that's a lot to ask for unless I do like 8 hours straight of working on it. I want to do it right, make sure everything is perfect. It's getting a little bit late for us.
Yep.
We'll probably continue on with this tomorrow, keep you guys updated, and bring you along for that.
Yeah, but if you guys like this video, make sure you give us a like because we would really appreciate it, and we enjoy doing this stuff for you guys. And if you haven't already and you'd like to see the rest of our build series with the 12-valve transmission, and you'd like to see our future plans with our Chevy Love, because we have changed them, then make sure you're subscribed to our channel and make sure that you tap that little notification bell so that you don't miss any of our future uploads. But that's going to be it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching and have a good one, guys.